Hey, I'm Kathy Narina.
And I'm Linda Randall. And Kathy, I've been thinking a lot about our talk on trauma and trauma-informed care. And it's really inundating my life. And as a veterinarian, as a person, and as a dog trainer. How about you?
It has. It's an interesting topic, and it really does kind of infiltrate a lot of different areas. And before we talked about it's not something that's kind of rolling off everybody's tongue in various office settings. So what we were talking about was something called trauma-informed care. First, there really is defining trauma. And I think you can see the definition. It's an event or series of events or circumstances that is experienced by someone that's physically or emotionally harmful. So I think, people can understand what that trauma-informed or trauma is. And what trauma-informed care is trying to do is to bring that understanding to an office environment where people are coming for healthcare, rather than making it more stressful, how to make these encounters less stressful and more therapeutic.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yes, and the thing that I keep thinking though, is that we've all had trauma. When we start looking at the definition of what we will call in our talk large T or big T trauma and the little t traumas, the big T trauma can be pretty obvious. Being in a war situation, abuse at home, there's just a lot there, and I think we could all come up with a lot of experiences that would fit that. The little t traumas aren't as obvious, but they can be adverse life experiences that we think we bounce back from, but they can be really layered.
Right.
And as we talk about, when you layer enough of them on there, it becomes very hard to break away from the effects of them. And it can become a large T trauma, or it might not ever become a large T trauma, but it's still trauma.
Right.
The small T traumas. And at what point does our trauma-informed lens admit that we're all traumatized, and so we don't have to have a non-trauma informed care, medical care?
Right.
It all becomes care.
And I love when you say that, because I almost want to breathe a sigh of relief after you say that.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what talking about it is trying to do, is just acknowledge how to treat people, understanding that some of their behavior, because I think that's an important part, is that like trauma can affect behavior, can impact a person's behavior. So that person that you see as being difficult may not really be being difficult, but they may have their defenses up.
Right. And just as we're trying to unlabel animals and unlabel people, I would love to unlabel just this way of dealing in the healthcare system with people and with animals. I think that would be wonderful. And I honestly feel that the positive reinforcement community could be at the forefront of this. We already are in a lot of ways in the way in which we think and work with animals, but I think it could be more intentional.
Yes.
And the literature could absorb a lot of writing and talking about this, and just recognizing that the study of the behavior of one is almost always going to involve some level of trauma. And we don't want to overuse the word, and we don't want to make it less than it is because we use it so much. And it just becomes some word that we use. It's significant, but that makes the work even more significant. And the fact that care and could be that significant to our lives, I think is exciting to me.
I agree. And I do think about our talk with so many interactions outside of work, outside of dog training, with just interacting with others. And it does give you a lot to think about. So I'm glad we got to talk about that a little bit. And other people listening, it might give them something to think about. So if they have any thoughts, if anybody has any thoughts or ideas, they can jot them in the comments. It'll give everyone a little bit more to think about.
Yeah, I'd really love to have an interaction with anybody who has any thoughts at all on what we're talking about here, because that'll also help inform our talk at the Lemonade Conference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.